it'll say, do you accept the recording or something like, just accept or say okay.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, we're gonna go live here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Thursday session. Thank you for following us and being with us today to learn more about the Lower Fox River and Green Bay watersheds. We'll be concluding today, but I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation by Tia Nelson. Right now, I would love to welcome Greg Neuschafer. I'm sorry, I know we just went over it. And Greg's going to be sharing with us a little bit about his life experiences. He's got a wonderful presentation queued up for us. So without further ado, I'm going to let Greg chat with us for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll kind of regroup with some closing statements before saying goodbye today. It's all yours, Greg.
Thank you, Aaron. We have a feedback here, and hopefully it's only on my end, but let me know if you guys are getting a delayed signal and a double feedback. So let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Greg Neuschafer. What am I doing here?
Oh, Greg, are you signed on to the conference website as well?
Oh, I bet I am.
If you just close, if you close out that window, that should take care of the backup, the feedback.
How do I get back to that?
That should be in your internet window, I think, and you should be able to close that one out.
Oh my.
That's okay.
You may have, Greg, you may have to go to exit full screen on the top. So under view options, if you go to exit full screen.
Exit. Where do I exit full screen?
View options where it says exit full screen. And then you should be able to see your other one.
You can always stop screen share too and take care of it and then re-screen share. That's fine.
I am stuck here.
Do you want to stop screen share and I can share your presentation and you can just tell me when to push next slide?
Yeah, we can do that. Should I just, let's see, I turn off my mic then, or?
No, if you want to just stop screen share on your side, there you go. And then now you should be able to go to your internet screen and cancel out of the conference. And I'll just bring up your slides and you can just tell me when to move on.
Uh-oh. Do I have you yet?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, you're still there. So now I go to, oh, rats, I just did it again. How do I go back to launch or to, not good. Well, instead of wasting time, let me just talk. You can hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
And we'll just go with the slides then, and don't have to see me. I don't have a feedback coming right now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Neuschafer. I want to say thank you to all the wonderful folks that put this conference on. The Wisconsin Water Week, I guess, University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, UW-Madison, DNR, all the sponsors. This has been quite a conference. I've been dipping my toe in from time to time, and it's neat to see the diversity of thought and approach to making our water in Wisconsin better. It's just a commonality of goal for us and our next generation. I think that's just wonderful. You're doing really good stuff, and I just feel honored to be invited to speak here today. I'm coming to you from Maryland. I live out here near the Chesapeake Bay. I'm a consultant for a mid-depth rather, Chesapeake Bay oyster farming experiment. It's been going on for 4 or 5 years, been a lot of fun. My roots though are back there in Wisconsin. Grew up on a dairy farm just south of Fremont on the Wolf River. And the river was my life. Rite of passage growing up was to swim across the river. My friends, my brother, myself, something we just had to do. The life on the river was fun. I enjoyed watching turtle eggs hatch, tadpoles turn into frogs, mallard ducks living at the edge of our garden. And probably most memorable thing for my brother and I, we found 2 baby raccoons that whose mother had perished. Their eyes weren't open, so we rescued them, raised them, and released them. You know, just part of the conservation goal, I guess. I attended schools there locally. I went to Wauwiga Fremont High School. It was called Wauwiga School back 50 some years ago. Got my undergraduate at UW Green Bay right there. Great school, great experience. We'll touch on that a little bit. Did graduate work down at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Next slide, please. I'm a retired Navy captain, an oceanographer, and this slide is a collage of a whole bunch of things where I hope is a collage of platforms upon which I've had the honor to do several projects: ocean bottom topography, gravity magnetic surveys, marine mammal counts, gray whales, manatees, and even American crocodile count once. Had a chance to design or help design safety procedures for offshore oil drilling platforms for the California Coastal Commission. Chase storms with airborne 3D color radar to document their birth and growth and demise. We developed onboard shipboard ocean wave modeling so that folks at sea can use their own computer to determine from the wind, fetch, direction and duration, what kind of seas they'll encounter. Ran an error experiment on a satellite, an ocean observing satellite, that upon launch had a bad orbit. It wasn't a nice circular orbit, it had a wobble to it. So we ran some diagnostics, an experiment, a ground truthing experiment to make a corrective algorithm. And we made ice gauges for ship superstructure icing and took them up on an expedition to the Arctic back in the late 80s. Probably the last thing I want to say is that kind of proud of put the first GPS navigation system on a Navy ship. Something as a junior officer was quite proud to say I had the chance to do. There's a ringer in the photo. In the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a picture of a nuclear power plant. That is the Kewaunee nuclear power plant, taken about 1972. And at that time, that was my first paying job in the science world. I lived in a wetsuit, held a stadia rod, and waded out and free dived in the Lake Michigan as we mapped from a mile north to a mile south around the pre-operational nuclear power plant. We surveyed in May, surveyed in August, and surveyed in November. The November dives were a little cold, but the summer dives were a lot of fun. And this morning, Dr. Caters was talking about the neat new programs that UWGB has. UWGB had some great programs back in the 60s too. A field geology course I took from Dr. Len Weiss mapped the Niagara Escarpment along the eastern part of the campus there. And I believe that those maps were used to make the Arboretum Trail. We had some water sampling. My first water sampling experience was with Dr. Paul Sager. I believe he's Professor Emeritus there. he was measuring phosphates in the lower Green Bay. So in this January practicum course, he taught water chemistry in the morning, and we went out on the ice from Point Sable and Duck Creek, not Duck Creek, but the peninsula that comes out from Duck Creek on the other side. I still got the ice auger that I used. I shared the ice auger to drill the holes for picking up the water samples, or pulling out the water samples. I've had some really, really lucky professional experiences, but I didn't get them by just showing up. My opportunities came about because of some very special people. Can I have the next slide, please? This slide lists some of the people that made my life possible. The first line is a handful of instructors from my elementary and high school years, people that found ways of encouraging me in science and math. And there's even an English teacher in there who said, you can be the best scientist in the world, but if you can't communicate your ideas, they're going to be lost. And the second line are university professors, Dr. Weiss, Byrne, Pilkey, Nelson, Lee. These all had impacts on me too. They either pushed me along or challenged me or gave me a set of tools that got me to have a great an adventuresome career, and one that paid pretty well too. And it's to these people that I'm just so grateful. And now in semi-retirement, I'm in the position to give back to the community, specifically the communities that brought me to where I am today. I have a chance to fund and judge at science fairs, both locally and actually back there. And I've been on the national circuit too for 40 years. I fund the science fairs. I sponsor an annual graduate student geology symposium down at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. It's for graduate students and undergraduate students. I fund or sponsor a water forensic lab at my old high school, which is an input and a partnership with Dr. Fermanich's Lower Fox River Watershed Monitoring Program, long word. Which brings me to today's announcement. Next slide, please. It's with this this thought of giving back, and also to honor my teachers, that I took up this project based on a conversation 2 Decembers ago with Dr. Fermanich about the PCB problem and cleanup in Green Bay. And so we started to put together a database on how this beautiful water body, a primeval water body from the last 10,000 years, was a life source of indigenous people. And then in the middle of the last century, we unknowingly, the human race, just tore it up, made the Fox River a dumping ground, out of sight, out of mind. And when we finally learned what we were doing was bad in the 60s, we started doing something about it. So today I want to announce a new database. It starts with information from 1953, and it summarizes the Fox River PCB cleanup. And I think this might have some value in Dr. Fermanich's program with the high school students, and perhaps his graduate students and undergraduate students. It's a searchable. It's quite comprehensive. It's unedited. It's portable. I think it's user-friendly, and it's for students of science, students of history, and even students of human behavior. I think we can see how behavior topics might be pulled out of this. Can I have the next slide, please? And I'm running out of time. Whoa. This little eye chart here is a list of all the types of documents. We've got about 28,000 pages of documents here. And you got government agency documents, peer review papers, environmental advocate publications, data sets and analysis, court summaries. If you want to have fun with legal, there's over 24 cases, and then there's the appeals on top of these cases in the last 50 years. There's legal opinions addressing the court cases. There's media stories and some video clips. There's one particular video clip I'm proud to finally get. Dr. Fermanich put me onto it 2 years ago when we sat in his office. It's about 17 minutes, and it shows the whole process of how the barges for the dredging are positioned, how the dredge materials are picked up, transported to shore, taken to the processing plant, dewatered, concentrated PCBs are stripped out, and some materials are reclaimed for other use, and then the final disposal. Great video. There's letters and emails. These are kind of interesting because some of these letters and emails, the old stuff, the letters, back in the 50s were when Monsanto figured out they had a problem. One of the internal scientists discovered something, talking to colleague scientists in UK and in Sweden. They figured out what the problem was. And then there's other people who say, you know, maybe if we don't talk about it, it won't be that big a deal. Good reading, and you can dig into it. There's dredging progress reports, remedial action summaries, capping design and implementation, and long-term water quality monitoring plans. And I'll talk to that in just a second. Let me go to the next slide, please. And we are really getting close. Our last slide here is, okay, we got 28,000 pages. That's a real head scratcher. How do you dig through that? Well, I thought maybe we should have a timeline. So I started a timeline, which itself has become quite large. It's 200 pages long, and it goes from 1953 to 2020. It is broken out by year, broken out by month and date, and the topics. And if you look at this slide, top of the slide, you'll see title of the timeline, and then the focus that we want to keep in this timeline, and that's a summary of the actions of the people, the participants. And then underneath that is the year. This is a stylized sample. This is 2018. And on the left column, you'll see, just took 3 samples. The first one is an EPA report, and it's it says the date, the name of the author, and then right below it, what type of report it is. And then there's 2 others down below. There's an advocacy one, and I believe, I'm sorry, I can't read the very bottom one here, but you got three different types of authors here. Now, when you go in the right line or the right column, the first line in each entry is the title of the paper or the presentation or the video clip or whatever it is, and then an abstract or a summary taken from original words from the individual papers. And also, if you look at the bottom, I've got images in there too. There's images, there's maps, anything to give you a flavor for what that individual address, individual paper is about, paper or entry is about, and then you can go back. I think that's enough. If we go to the last slide, that's my contact information. Oh, there is one more problem, one more item that's very important. Where is this darn thing? Well, it should be in the hands of Dr. Fermanich. That was my plans back in January, but around the end of January timeframe, I got a handful, 6 more documents of almost 1,000 pages that I'm sorting through that are very important. They're the long-term water quality monitoring plans, and they're critical to the wrap up of this project. So it's not done yet. I suspect I'll have it done by end of April, beginning of May, at which time I will deliver it to Dr. Fermanich, whichever file format he wants. I can put it on a thumb drive, or I can burn it on a DVD. It's 6 gigabytes, not that bad, but a respectable size library. And I leave it up to Dr. Fermanich to decide how to disseminate it with his students or with his colleagues there. Perhaps the library would want, the UWGB library would use it. There's no pride in authorship. I'm simply administratively collected all the stuff, and I want to share it. As I said earlier, I do these things to honor the educators and the mentors and the people that gave me a great life. So thank you very much.
Wow, thanks, Greg.
I stepped on your time. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. We're in wrap up mode here, and appreciate your comments and your support of the high school program up there, and the Little Wolf and on the Wolf River up there in Fremont and Waiwega, as well as the work down here at UWGB with the rest of the school network. So I guess my goal here was to do a bit of a wrap up, and so I think one of the things that we heard today was really that multi-sector partnerships driven by local stakeholders. And an example here is even Greg out of Maryland still driving education and so on. I really engaged across numerous aspects of improving the water resources, right, in the Lower Fox and in the Wolf system. And we heard from Congressman Gallagher, right, that the federal, state, and local investments are really critical to these successful efforts. And one of those, of course, is the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, which Congressman Gallagher talked about, and many of our presenters today talked about that. A lot of the work that we've been doing recently is related to the GLRI, and it's really critical that we continue to have those investments. So I say that we've made significant progress, but challenges remain, like we heard about harmful algal blooms, soil health and resilience with climate change, flooding, well water issues, and so on. But it's really the strong partnerships, which I think, again, was a big example that we heard throughout the day, are really key, but backed by scientific and restoration investments. So investments in education, investments in the science, and then investments in the restoration activities themselves. And then sort of linking back to Greg here is we want to continue to move the needle in the right direction. And I think some of the evidence of the PCB cleanup and so on is we've been moving the restoration and the work in the right direction, but there's work to happen. And I think through these investments, we'll be able to solve many of these our water resource issues. So I think I had intended at the very beginning, Aaron, by the way, it was number one on my list and I missed it, was to thank you for all your work in organizing this and hosting the session. A great job. And one of the things I think are a big challenge for all of us is to continue to, as Tia Nelson said, is to reach out beyond our choir of people that we talk to and engage really as much of the community as possible. And I see that as at least a challenge I'm going to take more personally to do that, particularly in the water realm. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kevin. And thank you, Greg, again. That was a really nice overview. And thank you for your effort in pulling that together. That is no small feat. All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Greg. And thank you, all of you participants who have stuck with us throughout this Thursday. We hope that you have all learned something new and have a great appreciation, as we all do, certainly for the water quality issues and the work going on to improve our water quality in Northeast Wisconsin. Thank you. And thank you for participating in Wisconsin Water Week.